So, Pauly, you comfortable with the system yet? You know, where are you in terms of understanding what you're supposed to do and getting comfortable with it?
I'm not gonna lie. At first, I was kind of lost. I didn't know what was expected of me. But once I kind of started getting in the flow and watching film, it kind of developed over time. So far, I feel pretty comfortable. I still got to learn a lot. So just taking my time with it.
What's different here than other stops that they ask you to do?
Say it again.
What's different here than some of your other stops and what they ask you to do?
Well, I mean, I've had a lot of success at Harcum, Manhattan. Like I started at both schools. Even at DePaul, I was starting a few games. So all of that kind of came natural to me. But here, like I literally have to work to earn my minutes. I have to work to earn my spot and all of that different stuff. So like it doesn't come as easy here. And I think it's the perfect challenge for me, honestly.
Paul, you were talking about the journey you've been through, the number of schools that you've gone through, and now you get to this final chapter, so to speak. One last year. What goes through your mind as that chapter is beginning to it's going to start tomorrow night?
It's surreal. I mean, I think about it every day, honestly. One of the GAs here told me on our first practice, he said, this is going to be your last practice of college basketball. And when he said that, like, that kind of, like, woke me up a little bit. And it made me realize, like, this is my last go-around, so I have to give it my all, or, I'm going to look back regretting not giving my best. So it's definitely a lot to think about, but I realize that thinking too much is only going to make things worse. So I'm just going to do what I do best, play my hardest, and leave it all out there.
Manhattan, right? DePaul, now West Virginia. You've had to acclimate yourself to 3 different places. What are some of the challenges that you have to go through to try to fit in with the team, particularly as quickly as you have?
I think that's probably one of the main challenges that I've had, as far as like getting acclimated all over and all over again. It was easy during AAU, but like when you're in college, like things are a lot more concrete. But something that I've struggled with was trying to learn the system, learn the plays. That's something that I've always struggled with. But I realized that one thing about me is I'm very process-driven. I may not get it at the beginning, and I may feel a little insecure in the beginning process, but I know, and then even here, like, I was struggling with the plays and all that different stuff, and now I feel more secure about, like, how I feel about the offense and stuff like that, because I know to myself, like, I'm process-driven. I have to go through the process. Of course, it's not going to be easy to start, but eventually it's going to come to me.
Whenever you move on, you have to have an open mind.
Right.
It's clearly here you had that open mind and say, okay, well, I got to accept different ways of doing it, because I'm sure what you were taught at Manhattan was different maybe a little bit than DePaul and what they're teaching here, right?
Definitely. I mean, I have to give credit to the coaches that have coached me in the past. They've definitely built me up to be the player that I am today. So I have a solid foundation, I think. But I just look at it as a new step and a new challenge. So, I've learned a lot through my experiences, but it only comes with more challenges. So I look at it as just that,
What's the biggest challenge been for you here?
Here, I would definitely learn the plays.
More sets? Is it more offensive sets?
Well, so for like, we do a lot of different motion stuff, and I think the thing about Hugs is that he expects you to just be a player, do what you do best, And I've never really had that, I'm a player, but I don't really, I'm very structured. I do well within a structure, within a system. I think that's why I had a lot of success at Manhattan. It's because when something was ran, I knew exactly what to do, what angle to cut, and etc. But when it comes to like our system here, there's so many different options. There's so many different things you can do, to the point where I was like, I'm overwhelmed by the options. I don't know what to do, and etc. So, but once I've relaxed, it's taking me a lot of time, but I just kind of have to develop the comfortability with it. So I just kind of let things be comfortable. I'm allowing myself to be more comfortable with making mistakes and discovering who I am as an actual player, which I've never had the opportunity to do.
Last thing here with DePaul, a lot of high ball screen stuff. Is that what they did a lot of? You see a lot of that today in college basketball itself.
Yeah, I think at DePaul I discovered that I was actually really good at setting screens. faking screens and
Right.
all that different stuff. So yeah, that's definitely at DePaul. I mean, we do a lot of the screen stuff here, so
So that
I could
applies
just
here.
basically just apply what I've learned at DePaul and bring it here.
Speaking of volleyball, is any of that transferable offense, defense?
You said
Is
volleyball?
any of that transferable for your offense, defense, the skill to play volleyball?
Yeah, definitely. I played volleyball my senior year in high school, and like at first, when you first see me playing basketball, you would think like this kid probably not gonna play college. This kid's not going anywhere with basketball. But playing volleyball has probably been the best thing I could have done for myself for basketball, though, because it worked on my hand-eye coordination, it worked on my footwork, it worked on my timing, all this different stuff. So it's weird that I was able to apply that to the game of basketball, because like now I'm looking at somebody coming to the basket as just the volleyball going up. So I'm going straight for the ball, not worried about who's coming to dunk it, you know what I'm saying? So it definitely helped.
Have you ever played for a coach that demands rebounding as much as Bob Huggins?
Yeah, I mean, at DePaul,
Okay,
I mean,
so
they
was
saw
that-
how well of a rebounder I was,
Okay.
and they said, we need you to do that more, you know? So also at Manhattan, too, like I was able to snatch a couple boards, and once the coach realized that this is what I'm good at, he wants me to do that more, so yeah.
I mean, he values it. I mean, whenever he talks about it after the game, usually that's the first place he looks or talks about.
Yeah.
Is that carrying over to you guys understanding how much he values rebounding?
Yes, definitely. We had a scrimmage against Dayton. I was not weak side, and all I heard was the buzzer, so I got out. And then that's when it kind of clicked. You know, I was saying before that, you know, I was able to start at Manhattan, start at Harcum, start here and there. There's no room for mistakes with Bob Huggins, you know, and that's a perfect challenge for me because now I have to come in with laser focus, so I know every time to get weak side to get those rebounds. So
Does that seem to be the trip on the treadmill the most when that's
definitely, yeah. Those trips are not fun.
Going back, if you don't mind, you didn't pick up basketball until late. Were you volleyball up until then, or did you switch back
No,
and forth?
so I didn't play any sports from 7th through 11th grade year, mid 11th grade year, and to what some people believe was random, I just decided to play basketball, and then very raw to the sport, didn't know much about it, didn't even know how to play honestly, and then I think all I could do was dunk, and then once I started playing, I was uncomfortable at first, and then I realized that over time, like I was getting better. So that's when I developed like me being process driven. So once I kept playing in sports, and once I kept, you know, I also did track as well. Once I, you know, found myself within the structure of a sport, I was able to develop, you know, both as a person and as an athlete, you know, because I was told to do this, and I did it, and then it helped me with my ability. So I wasn't very into sports growing up, but like I love sports. It saves my life, for real.
Did you shoot up, like get really tall all of a sudden?
Yeah, I was always tall. Always hyper enthusiastic, high energy, but I just never did anything with it. I was always getting in trouble, just doing dumb stuff. But
7th through 11th grade is the time most kids are
Right.
playing sports. Why weren't you in sports, and why did it save your life?
It's really not that I wasn't into sports. I was just always doing other things. I was like a bad kid. I was just all over the place, bouncing off the walls. So I was kind of a person of interest. Like I did my own thing. Like I was just doing whatever. And then eventually things like life started happening. And it happened like at a really young age. So I was kind of forced to grow up, you know. Like the adversity of life actually hit me, and I had to I realized that, okay, I can't be out here playing around anymore. It's not a game, it's not a joke. And then it got really real, without saying too much. It got really real, and I needed to do something. I needed some sort of structure. I needed something to ground me, to get me to realize, okay, like it's either this or something or nothing. So I didn't want to be a statistic. I didn't want to be what everybody expected me to be. You know, I was getting in trouble, like I said, and, you know, everybody kind of expected me, like, to be a failure. So I didn't want to give them that satisfaction by proving them right. So, you know, I grew up, I matured, and I made the decision to play sports.
Did you do track?
I did discus. I threw the discus. I was actually really good at that, too. I only did that for 1 year. I think I had a PR in my county.
Well, the decisions to transfer, the difficulty in deciding to leave, where maybe you've gotten some comfort level, how hard is that? And I mean, you've done it several times, so walk me through those choices to leave one spot and go to another.
I'm going to be really honest. Manhattan was a great school for me. Steve Masiello did a great job coaching me. He pushed me harder than any coach has. I mean, except for Hugs now, but like that was the perfect program. And I don't want to sit here and say like, oh, if you're not happy at your school, go and jump in the transfer portal. That's a scary thing to do. What I did was I took a chance for myself, and I wanted to test my abilities, to test how much I can take. And I knew Manhattan wasn't really, at a point, I felt like I wasn't being challenged enough. I wanted to kind of test the waters in a sense. And putting my name into the portal was scary. I was in a very insecure spot, didn't have, much support, in terms of like, this is my decision, so I gotta kind of handle it by myself, So it's definitely scary, but, I knew what I was capable of doing. Like, I know my work ethic, I know my focus, I know what I'm good at. So reminding myself of that, it gave me a little more comfortability, and it gave me the hope that, I'll end up somewhere and I'll do well.
And then DePaul, you're only there a year, so why did you decide to leave there? And then ultimately, what attracted you to West Virginia?
So DePaul, out of all my interests and offers, DePaul was the only high major school that was coming after me. So I figured like, okay, why go any less? Go hard or go home. So I just decided to go to DePaul. I mean, it was the only school that was really going to challenge me. So I just decided to go there. After doing a year there, one of the assistant coaches at the time, he thought it would be a good idea for me to put my name in the portal. And basically, he was always saying, like, West Virginia is probably the best place for you to play, considering, like, the type of player that I am and all that. And then he connected me with Coach Huggins. And Coach Huggins called me and said, hey, we want you. Like, we see how hard you play. We need you to bring that energy down to Morgantown, and we want you to play for us. So I did a whole bunch of research on him. I remember seeing, like, even back then when I wasn't even into sports, I remember seeing Hugs on TV, and it's, like, ingrained in my memory. And then, like, seeing him again when he was recruiting me, it was just like, I remember this guy. And my high school coach he actually, like, idealizes Coach Hugs. And, connecting both my high school coach and Coach Hugs, I was like, okay, this makes sense, because they're basically the same people. So it was basically a no-brainer. I had to choose between Rutgers and West Virginia, and it was a no-brainer. You got a Hall of Famer coach, like, why would I ever turn that down, No knock on Coach, but, I felt like it was kind of a no-brainer.
Did the fact that Huggins has some extensive history with New York City and North Jersey area guys here, it's been a while, but did that play any role in
Definitely not. Not for me. I feel like the person Coach Hugs is, that was the baseline of my decision, just knowing the type of coach he was. Someone that's not going to lie to me, someone who's going to always keep it 100 with me, no gray area. He's going to tell you what you need to hear and not what you want to hear. And just off that, like, I knew that's what I needed. And I feel like he's the perfect coach to make me uncomfortable. And I feel like that uncomfortability is what breeds that growth within me. So I thought that was just perfect in itself.
Just kind of curious, when you say you were researching Hugs, was it a matter of just going on Google and looking at his Wikipedia page, or was on message boards? And, how extensive was research?
I didn't really have to do much research. Everybody told me, you better go to West Virginia. Everybody was basically telling me that and telling me different things about Coach Hugs, but I didn't really have to do much research. I just had to search his name, just something you had to do. But looking at all his credentials and what he's done and his accomplishments and all his wins, 900 wins, it's just, to see that, it's just like, why would I not come here, So, yeah.
Speaking of names, your name,
Pauly Paulicap.
Pauly, or
Say again?
is Pauly your given name, or
So Pauly Paulicap is my real name. I can show you my ID too, if you want. Right there. Everybody keeps thinking that it's made up. It's not. This is my real name, Pauly Paulicap. I don't have a story. I don't know what to tell you. My mom just decided Pauly Paulicap.
Thank her. I mean, it's got a nice ring to it.
It's got a nice ring, right?
It's
Of the ball.
I mean, yeah. I mean, can't go wrong with it. I love it.
memorable.
Yeah. I usually lie and tell people my middle name is Paul, but just to mess with them. But
Junior.
Junior, yeah.
So, Paul, one last question. So, you researched Hugs. You heard about his reputation. Now that you're here, is the reputation what you thought it was going to be? How is the real Hugs compared to the online Hugs?
That's a good question. I feel like just overall, like being in the facilities and everything, it's like since I've been here, it's been surreal. It's been unbelievable. I've been JUCO, Manhattan College, DePaul, and now here, and just those experiences and seeing everything here is just surreal. And someone told me, or I think I heard this somewhere, is like, you don't know your experience until after. So, and that stuck with me because although I'm trying to define it right now, like it's all in front of me, I can actually make, everything of what it is, but I'm not gonna know that until after it happens. So I can't really answer that question, but right now I can just say that I'm grateful to be here, and I plan on taking full advantage of all the resources and opportunities that are presented to me here. So.
Well, you spent 1 year at Hartford.
So I played only 1 year. I was there for 2 years. So my first year, I injured my foot, and then redshirt, and then the second year I played.
Okay. The 1 year at Hartford, I don't want to say it was easy, but the numbers you put up for someone who didn't know a whole lot about basketball looked like it probably came to you pretty easy.
Right, and I say the same thing. I look back too. I didn't even so back then I wasn't the type of player who was paying attention to stats, paying attention to like any of that stuff. I just went out and played, and it was fun. I was honestly just having fun, and then I realized that at a point I was coach came up to me. He was like, "You're like number 4 in the country for blocks." I'm like, "For real? Oh, that's crazy." And then that's when I kind of started to realize, like, okay, like I'm doing stuff. So I started paying more attention to it, but it wasn't based off of skill or anything that I was intentionally trying to do. I was just out there having fun, honestly. I mean, I learned the offense and what they wanted me to do, and it was that simple. They told me do this, and I did that, and it just worked out.
Did anybody work with you on blocking shots, or is that just?
That was all volleyball.
Okay.
All volleyball, yeah. It's crazy because like everybody gets so wild about getting dunked on and everything like that. None of that mattered to me, for real. I just wanted the dramatic effect of blocking a shot, like, and I felt the crowd, after a block shot, the crowd and the energy that I get from that is so satisfying. So